Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another edition of Wild's Rambles about whatever is on his mind. I haven't done one of these in a while, and the honest truth behind that is that I am on two different podcasts, and I write a lot of articles, so pretty much anything I really want to get off my chest, is, it's I have places I can do that. But, some weeks, like this week, it was just a lot of little tidbits I wanted to kind of mention, and nothing I really wanted to dive in to all that much. But it's themed this time because we're going to talk about comic book related media. Specifically, I want to start with comic book movies because it was a very interesting article that was released not that long ago, and I believe it was a Business Insider article talking about the different plans that Warner Brothers, Marvel Studios, Sony Pictures, and 20th Century Fox all have for their superhero movie franchises, which all actually involve Marvel and DC characters. And they put a very interesting chart, one that I had seen before, but it's a little bit more mapped out now. And it shows from 2014 to 2018, and even a little bit past that, we've kind of gotten a glimpse into what they want to do. But 2014 to 2018, a lot of the dates are set, and these are of course subject to change. But there's some really interesting movies coming out. Marvel has Guardians of the Galaxies, Avengers, Age of Ultron, Ant-Man, Captain America 3. I just saw Captain America 2, and it's really good. I have a review of it up on Blank Man Inc. And if you haven't seen it, or if you're on the fence, go read my review, go watch the movie, just do it. But Sony Pictures has The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which I'm just hoping is better than the first Amazing Spider-Man. They have Amazing Spider-Man 3 coming out in 2016. Venom and or a Sinister Six movie. They'll figure that out, don't worry. And then Amazing Spider-Man 4, which I have a feeling is going to drastically change before we actually make it to that, and that's in 2018. 20th Century Fox, of course, has X-Men Days of Future Past coming out very soon, and I'm looking forward to that. I was a huge fan of X-Men First Class. Fantastic Four, which I'm not looking forward to, the X-Men Apocalypse movie, which could be good or could be bad, and the Wolverine sequel, which I still haven't seen the second Wolverine movie, so we'll let you know. And of course, they're planning a Fantastic Four 2. It seems very, they have two things. They're really trying to work with those. And then, you list all those movies, and then you look at Warner Brothers, and as of right now, feature film-wise, all they have slated is Batman vs. Superman in 2016. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but money-wise, I'm sure Warner Brothers is hurting, and they're hurting in the sense that they realize of the potential money that's out there. Because Sony and 20th Century Fox, they have some opportunity to make some money, and Marvel's going to make a ton of money. And there's a lot of money out there to be made. And what this article discusses, and I'll try to link it in the description below, in the info, is that there are different strategies. And it goes over some different things. But the main point of the article is talking about how one of Marvel's biggest strategies is to make their movie series feel like a comic. And what's really cool about comics are interconnected. It's an entire world. There's references. There are some great references in the new Captain America movie to stuff we haven't seen yet, and stuff that harks back a little bit on stuff we had. One of my favorites, and it's not really that great of a thing, but it's just awesome that they did it, is in Iron Man 2, which is the crappiest of the Iron Man movies, in my opinion. Gary Shandling shows up as a corrupt senator, and he's just kind of a dick to Tony Stark through the whole movie. Well, seeing him in this movie, we get an explanation of why. I won't spoil it just in case you haven't seen it. But it's a great scene. And at the end of each movie, as you know by now, every Marvel movie leads into the next movie or shows something off. and it feels like a giant universe. And although not all of the Marvel movies are great, most of them are good. I would put the new Captain America movie probably in my top 5, definitely in my top 5 Marvel movies, but I would probably put it actually in my top 5 somewhere of just superhero movies overall, because I really enjoyed it. The problem with that and saying that their strategy is better, because Warner Brothers is kind of keeping to, okay, well, we have the Nolan Batman films, and they're going to be their own thing, and then we're going to have Man of Steel, and we're going to kind of let Snyder go and do Batman vs. Superman, but after he's done his series, which will probably be a set of 3 or 4, they probably won't tie too much into it. They keep teasing it, this Justice League movie, but I'm going to be honest, I don't think they're ready. And I think they know that now. I think they realize that as much as they wanted to do it, it's not going to happen the way that they want it to. And the thing that I disagree with, and I was speaking with a few people about this on Facebook, is that I think that for right now, Marvel has the upper hand. I think that they're making the most money. They're making the biggest impact. The problem with this is, I'm wondering personally about years down the line. In 10 years, when we look back on all the superhero movies that have come out recently, other than realizing that we cluttered up the movie stream with too many superhero features, which is a definite, I'm afraid the other thing we're going to realize is that some of the Marvel movies on their own don't stand out as well. I think some of the hype behind certain Marvel movies, and I'm not going to name particular ones because we each have our our different favorites, but there were some for me that I was like, that was pretty good. But what really got me was that it, talked about this other movie, or it hyped up at the end with that scene at the end, or you had that cool cameo by this actor. The problem with that is that by itself, I don't think it's going to stand up as well, especially once the CGI doesn't look as good, and once we're not dealing with the same set of actors anymore, because eventually Marvel's going to want to keep these movies going, but they're going to have to hire a new Iron Man, a new Captain America, a new Thor. It's going to happen eventually. And stuff like Nolan's Batman series stands well on its own. Even just The Dark Knight by itself stands very well on its own. It's not perfect. I'm not saying any of those movies are perfect, and I don't think Man of Steel does as great of a job as the Batman series has done, but I definitely think it stands out more than some of the Marvel movies by themselves. And that, in my opinion, is something you have to look at. So Iron Man is a great trilogy, but the problem is one of those movies is not that great. And you have to look at each of the movies on an individual basis. And especially from a level of criticism, that is something that you have to really think about. And I hope I'm kind of wrong. I hope that 5 years from now, or whenever we're talking about these movies again, I can go back and enjoy them just as much. But I have a feeling that's not going to be entirely true. And the other thing I kind of disagree with is, one thing that the article says is that they have enough material that they could keep this going well into, 2028, I think is the year that they give. And I believe them. I think the problem is eventually, and probably before then, some people are going to get tired of seeing this, and they're going to have to either reboot some of the series, or they're going to have to start doing stuff that, to the casual fans, is going to feel like something completely new. Which is one of the reasons I'm actually glad they are doing something like Guardians of the Galaxy. Make new heroes. Don't just rely on your old stuff. It's why I question why DC hasn't done a Wonder Woman movie and hasn't done, a Green Arrow movie. Stop just doing Batman and Superman. Make the casual moviegoer who isn't into the comics, make them a fan. A lot of people got excited this week because the X-Men Days of Future Past teaser is at the end of Amazing Spider-Man 2, and that's really cool. It is not, however, something that is going to link these series. Sony and 20th Century Fox are not working together. this could be, this could be argued, but Kyle, whom I do the Comics and Controllers podcast with, actually sent me a link that talks about that the reason that this happened is because Mark Webb, the director of The Amazing Spider-Man 2, was actually supposed to be doing a sequel to 500 Days of Summer currently. And part of his deal to get out of doing that, so that he could work on the Amazing Spider-Man movies, was that, 20th Century Fox got to stick an appropriate advertisement for one of their movies at the end of Amazing Spider-Man 2, and that so happened to be X-Men Days of Future Past. And I think this is really smart on both parts. I think, although it's unintentional, it will it'll be good for both movies in the end. I think it will build some excitement. I've already heard some people that were excited, even after I told them that that's why they're building all this together. And, that's cool. I don't know if you'll see anything past this. I actually think it'd be neat if they did try to work together to kind of usurp some of Marvel Studios' hold and Disney's hold, but, we'll see. Speaking of X-Men Days of Future Past, for those of you who haven't heard, Bryan Singer was accused of sexual misconduct. I'm not going to go into it that much, and that's because it's a legal issue. There's a lot to it. I've been reading up some on it just because I wanted to know more, because a lot of this seems to be getting blown out of the water, and the timing seems very odd that it would happen, as we're getting really close to the movie's release and everything. And there's a lot of stuff even with that I know can be argued. And the truth is, I wish it wasn't in the media, because it shouldn't affect how we view the film itself. And I know Bryan Singer has been openly gay for a while, and I've already seen some really nasty comments, and the internet sucks at that. Now, I hate it. I hate that that's the case. So my thing on this is, he's innocent until proven guilty, and it should not reflect his movie. I don't think, in my opinion. You could go back to the whole, you shouldn't support, Roman Polanski, or, any of these, the guy who did Powder, and I don't disagree with that. But as of right now, until he is proven guilty, I'm going to still be excited to go see something that, hopefully will be a great follow-up to a movie I really enjoyed. Okay, so Marvel does great with their movies. My problem is that their TV shows are not so great. Their cartoons are fine. I love most of the Marvel cartoons. I could do an entire episode about just why I love and dislike some of the Marvel cartoons, but they've done some amazing ones. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., however, has really just started to grow on me. I really enjoyed the first episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and here we are, how many ever episodes in? I just watched the newest episode, and I'm enjoying it. I like it. But it took way too many episodes to really draw me in. And sometimes there are certain aspects of it that I understand are, okay, well, this is television. This is how they had to do it. Or, okay, this is, Disney and Marvel trying to link things but not make Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. dependent on the rest of their universe and stuff. And I understand where they're coming with a lot of this, but I'm really hoping Season 2 is better. I'm hoping they do a lot more with Season 2. I'm hoping, I don't know, that if you haven't seen the new Captain America movie, with the direction that it kind of sent, that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Captain America are linked. And I won't say any more about it for spoilers, but I'm interested, really interested to see, what they make of this. But as far as DC is concerned, however, let's just say that Arrow, which I finally finished the first season of, is awesome. I actually think it's a better show than Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It has its faults. There's a couple of things I don't like about some of the acting, and a couple of the general issues I can go into further detail if people like. But just overall, it's good. Oh, it's good. I saw the season premiere back when it first came on, and I said, oh, it was okay. It wasn't bad. I'll get around to watching it, and I just never did. And now I'm, kind of kicking myself. I do this a lot. I kick myself for not getting into a show until I make the time for it and kind of sit down and watch it. But Arrow is really good. I very much endorse it, and I think I think think season 2, I haven't started it yet because I'm waiting for season 2 to end. I think the Flash spinoff, I love the 80s Flash TV show, so I'm really interested to see, if this is any good. I want it to be. The new Flash show should be good. Also, just as a note, I don't know about Gotham. I'm very skeptical about the Gotham show. But let's assume for a second that DC nails it with the Flash and Gotham. They could, even though they're kind of suffering in the realm of movies, they could really corner the comic book TV market. And I would like to see them actually do that because I think they have a lot of interesting characters. The references in Flash and the characters they brought in have been great. So if it's anything like Arrow, this Flash show, and Gotham I know is being done by some different people, so I have no clue what it's going to be like, but we could potentially have 2 new really cool shows on hand. But that's a matter of time, and I'll be more than happy to talk about that when it happens. The final note, if you haven't heard, is that DC has a Batman Beyond short by Darwin Cook, who's amazing, that they're doing for the 75th anniversary of Batman, and that's really cool. That's kind of neat. I haven't seen the whole thing, but I've seen a lot of the snippets that they've shown from it, and it looks crazy. So I'm looking forward to that. And other than that, I just wanted to say that I am reading Hawkeye, and if you haven't read it, it's great. I'm trying to get through a lot of other stuff, and I have officially been rambling for too long at this point. So I will see you guys next time.